Let's be honest, we've all got one. That old biscuit tin turned treasure chest. That dusty box in the back of a drawer inherited from a grandmother or a great-aunt. It's filled with a tangle of beads, a few clip-on earrings that lost their partners in the 1970s, and maybe a heavy, slightly green-looking brooch. We call it costume jewelry. We call it trinkets. We look at it, we smile at the memories, and we close the lid. It's just old stuff, right? For one woman who walked into the Stevens House and Gardens in London, that box of trinkets held a secret that would, quite literally, leave her breathless. And it's a moment that reminds every single one of us to maybe, just maybe, take a second look at the junk we've inherited. The iconic Antiques Roadshow was in town, and the grounds were buzzing with that familiar, magical energy, a mix of nervous hope and cheerful curiosity. People lined up, clutching everything from paintings to pottery, all waiting for that one-on-one moment with an expert who could change their lives, or gently tell them their prized possession was a lovely reproduction. Among them was a guest who had brought in her mother-in-law's old box. She wasn't expecting much, she even said so. When she sat down with jewelry expert Joanna Hardy, she was almost apologetic. When she moved a couple of years ago, there was a box of trinkets, the guest explained, her voice casual. Kind of costume jewelry. But Joanna, with an eye that can spot a diamond in a haystack, gently pulled 2 rings from the collection. The first was clearly old. It had a character, a certain weight to it. The guest admitted she knew nothing about it, other than it was family. Joanna Hardy turned it over in her hands. It has that age to it, she mused, her expert eye scanning every detail. It has that character which you just can't manufacture. She identified it as a large, rose-cut diamond, likely from the 18th or 19th century. She pointed out its natural inclusions and a slight yellow tint, not flaws, but fingerprints of its history. Then came the first valuation. At auction, Joanna said, "I would say that this diamond would be around $/pounds $5,000. The guest's eyes widened. £5,000 for a trinket. You could feel the air leave her lungs. A ring that had just been sitting in a box, dismissed and forgotten, was worth more than most people's cars. That right there would have been an incredible story. But Joanna Hardy wasn't finished. She turned her attention to the second ring. And this is where the story goes from great find to legendary. This second ring was, well, it was dirty. It was a large, bluish stone in a simple setting. It was exactly the kind of thing you'd expect to find in a costume box. The guest's expectations for this one were rock bottom. In fact, she'd already had it looked at. And this other one, she explained, again from her family, I did take it round the corner to a jeweler, and she said she thought it was glass. Like a sort of blue glass. That was the official verdict. Dirty blue glass. Worthless. Joanna Hardy smiled a small, knowing smile. And then I looked at this one here, she said, her voice betraying a hint of excitement. And I've given it a bit of a clean because it was a bit dirty. She held it up. The London light, even on a cloudy day, seemed to dive right into the stone and set it on fire from within. It was no longer a dull, dirty blue. It was a vibrant, violet blue, electric and alive. Joanna explained what she saw after she wiped away decades of grime. I looked and looked, she said, leaning in, and I can find 2 feather inclusions, and that to me indicates that it is a Sri Lankan sapphire. The words hung in the air. Sri Lankan sapphire, not glass. It is a beautiful color, Joanna continued, clearly smitten with the gem. It almost might be a color change sapphire. I'd like to look at it in a different light source because it's sort of got that violet eye light blue quality about it. She wasn't just identifying it, she was falling in love with it. When I saw those veil inclusions, I thought, yes, it's not glass. She then dropped the other details. The sapphire was a staggering 12 carats. The setting wasn't cheap metal. It was platinum. The guest was stunned into silence. She was processing. The first ring was $/pounds $5,000. The second ring, the one a professional jeweler had dismissed as glass, was a 12-carat Sri Lankan sapphire. It was time for the final, show-stopping valuation. Joanna, who had already given the guest the $/pounds $5,000 news for the diamond, now pointed to the sapphire. And this sapphire, she said, pausing just long enough for the guest's heart to stop. I would say that's going to be between $/pounds $9,000 and $/pounds $12,000. Let that sink in. $/pounds $5,000 diamond. $/pounds $12,000 sapphire. A total of $/pounds $17,000, all sitting in a box of trinkets. The guest's face was a picture of pure, unfiltered disbelief.